Hey everyone, I'm Jessica Kramer with MRC-TV. Today we're back with Dr. John Bruchalski, a pro-life OBGYN, about his new book, Two Patients, My Conversion from Abortion to a Life-Affirming Medicine. Dr. Bruchalski, thank you for coming back with us.
Oh my gosh, Jessica, thank you. It's a delight.
Aw. So can you tell us a little bit about what provoked you to write this book?
It was pushed on me. I don't like talking about myself, but I realized that I was the poster child for the Roe generation. Grew up in a great family, kind of moved farther and farther away from traditional values. And over time, listening to patients, I thought that I had to provide elective abortions to provide excellent health care. And that's the big lie of the last 50 years. So now we're in an area of Dobbs, and now we're all firing grenades at each other. Everything's fear-based. You can't be pro-life. Oh no, because if you do that, you're going to be condemned by the liberal states, and oh no, kind of just treating ectopics and miscarriages, you're going to be pilloried by the legislation. Wait a second, time out. The reality is there's so much optimism and hope right now. It's just hard to see, because if I could change my heart, which you have already talked about, it really was my experience, the medical data coming in, as well as a witness, a young 30-year-old NICU doctor, neonatal intensive care unit doctor, who I visited yesterday after 35 years.
Wow.
She literally yanked me. She shook me so hard because she says, Johnny, why do you treat unborn fetuses, unborn children as tumors? You don't monitor them, you dismember them, you rip them apart, and then you ask me when they come out alive to bail them out.
Wow.
Bail you out. And then she says, I want a cup of coffee tomorrow. And she simply said to me with her heart, this woman is a bright Duke, she's well trained, but she had the heart of an OBGYN. Johnny, you care for two patients. Always remember that. It's
Wow.
not based on wantedness. You can't, and especially you as a Polish guy, in your country, wantedness meant gas chambers. Well, today they kind of mean abortion clinics. And
Wow.
I was a part of it. And through her witness to me, as one of many, my experience, my heart hardening, the data coming in, she witnessed it. And then the grace of God kind of pushed me over the edge. So I do believe that it was a grace, but it was based on other people's conversations with me, good men and women. And so we came up with this book at this time, did not know that Roe was going to get flipped. And it was called Two Patients. And it's literally my conversion. It's not a memoir. It's not a diary. It's not a spiritual journey. There are all aspects of that because we're a human being, just like you are. You work for this TV station and you are many other things, many other aspects of the diamond there. And so I just want you to know that so are we all. And we have to show our patients that we care for them, because I can tell you after all these years, and now after these 2 years of the virus, the COVID, we totally distrust the system. I don't care if it's the politics. I don't care if it's the ideology. Medicine is distrusted. And I believe at the core of that distrust is that we've bought the lie and put in the center of our heart in medicine, elective abortion on demand for any reason at any time should be considered excellent medicine. And if you speak against it, you're going to be silent. Come on, you shouldn't even go into OBGYN. I remember many years ago, some gubernatorial candidate up in Massachusetts said, if you are pro-life, don't become an ER doctor. And once again, what did they try to do recently? Circumvent Dobbs and make emergency rooms places of abortion with EMTALA, the emergency medical treatment legislation. This book is about optimism and hope, mercy, my change, and then the beginnings of why I started Tepeyac Family Center, which is now Tepeyac OBGYN. That's the reason for the book, to be a beacon of hope and optimism, and also a kernel of, uncomfortabableness for all of us. Because I can't throw stones, because I've been on both sides of this issue. I don't want to be a hypocrite anymore. I want to practice medicine in an authentic way, based on Hippocrates and some of the greatest men and women throughout the ages. And the most recent of those is Dr. Jerome Lejeune, who lost the Nobel Prize because he believed that you shouldn't abort sick babies. Well, Dr. Jerome is now in a better place, and I know he's interceding for us, and I know he's interceding for me. And I know that I talk with excellent physicians across the country today, and I just want to be a place like a gatekeeper. If you're real young, hey man, if you're called to this, you better come and join us. We need good, principled, life-affirming doctors, especially in OBGYN, because it's not identity-based. It's science, medicine, and integrity-based. The wantedness of another person doesn't dictate how you treat that second person. In sick cases, you don't have to, you always care for the mom first. Always, Jess, always. And you never pit mom against the child, ever. You try to help them both along. And you always treat the disease, not the person you always attack the disease and not the person with the disease. You don't get rid of diseases by getting rid of the people who carry those diseases. And these are basic, 4,000 years of medicine. We're no longer quacks. We're no longer shamans. Do no harm. And so any encouragement to dismember fetuses and count body parts can't be a part of a profession of caring and compassion. So that's why we wrote the book.
Wow. I got chills when you were talking about that doctor who had such an impact on you. And I remember a priest once told me that God uses secondary causes. And so she was obviously a secondary cause in your life.
Yeah, he uses secondary causes and he uses weak instruments.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
All I do is point people to the really smart people at APLOG, the really wonderful men and women at Christian Medical and Dental Society and the Catholic Medical Association. We are all in this together. And, I come from a state that helped lead a revolution a few hundred years ago. And it's in our DNA here in Virginia to collaborate with other folks of, like heart and mind.
Yeah.
To try to build a culture of life in medicine again.
Yeah. Well, even
that distrust has to be turned into trust again.
Absolutely. Even the phrase "two patients" conjures up this image of the reality of pregnancy. Do you think speaking about that sacred reality, that relationship of mother and child, is more helpful when dialoguing on the abortion issue rather than making rights-based claims pitting mother against child or vice versa?
Oh, come on. Absolutely. Rights-based? This is a human rights issue because the child in the womb, the unborn child in the womb, the fetus, is part of the human family. I know it for two sacred medical reasons. One is they came from parents who were human, and the genetics of the fetus, and I can do 23andMe and tell you all about that child at the 1-cell age. Secondly, when I was doing in vitro work at the Jones, and kind of being there as a resident, our level of viability on the in vitro side was whenever we got a conception. So for us, the first viability line was to get that to the egg and sperm to unite. And then our next level of viability was to get them to a healthy stage of meiosis and mitosis so they could grow
Isn't that
healthy.
amazing that the other side acknowledges this?
Well, they do, but I have
Yeah.
to tell you, there's a cognitive dissonance again.
Yeah.
Out of all the
Because
sixty
that's
medical,
extremely wanted child.
yes,
Yeah.
but in order to get that, you have to waste 10 to 20 embryos
Yeah.
for every one you make.
Yes.
Now, that data may be getting back because my friends now in the industry, they're into single embryo transfer. Why is that? Because our technology is getting better and they don't want to waste anymore, and they don't want to put back 5 to get 2 because prematurity has become an issue, and those babies take up more money in the NICU, and it's actually the reproductive medicine group that's causing the new prematurity. It's amazing. So it just gets conundrumed and so I do believe that this is an opportunity of hope, that if we can dialogue with you and you don't demonize us, me, immediately, let's talk. Because the young medical student at the University of Virginia about 15 years ago, 10 years ago, said to me, "Do you really believe that life begins at fertilization?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And you practice medicine now as if that's true. Yes, I do. You are the first doctor that has ever told me that. And this is a smart, sharp UVA, I believe, third or fourth year OBGYN resident. We've begun to cognitively dissonance. So it's not just wantedness on the social side, but really it's a process. And until, what about twinning? And they start getting caught up in these little, anybody who cares about these early stages of the human being, read anything by Maureen Kondik. She's tremendous. And she's a scientist and she's a cell biologist. This is based on sound, good science. But we've politicized science since the 1970s, right? With Roe v. Wade. That's how it appeared magically. There was no vote. It came out of the late 60s, early 70s, and the textbooks began to change the next day. The science didn't change, but the politics did.
So you're, because you speak negatively about the mainstream medical community, and I wanted to ask you if you consider it a racket, and kind of what started that. Is it really the politics?
So I don't see it as a racket. I do see it as it's become politicized and it's become money-based. That's why Tepeyac OBGYN, the practice that I've worked at for 28 years, is a OBGYN practice in Northern Virginia. We care for patients in a life-affirming manner where elective abortion is never a consideration for caring for the least of our brothers and sisters in the womb, or any patient who comes to us, irrespective of whatever their background is. Elective abortion is never good medicine, ever. We meet them with compassion. We try to provide them alternatives. Now, Divine Mercy Care is based on medicine is an act of mercy. Mercy is based on compassion. And compassion is based on sound science, sound traditional values, and sound faith. We were created in the image and likeness on the faith side. We're all brothers and sisters of the Our Father. Come on, this is family. For some of us Catholics, we've brought in a mother who is the best witness of the grace of her son, for crying out loud. So, but then the science says you can do this and you should do this. And when you find civilizations that care for the least of their brothers and sisters, they certainly don't abort children in the uterus anymore. Why? Because they're the least. They don't do sex selection of abortion to get rid of more women. There are so many empowering women in the pro-life movement. Don't tell me that women only have one way to think. Don't tell me Polish immigrants to this country only have one party to join. Don't tell me that my friends who are African American in the judicial system need to think a certain way. That's horrific. So I think that this is an opportunity. So what's medicine? So I think medicine has put before it a political target. We need abortion on demand. That hasn't changed, and yet the world has gone, no, we're not going to do that. Only 5 countries, terrible countries do this. We're one of them. And then all of a sudden, everything's getting politicized. Everybody's polarized, and so therefore, no one has conversation anymore. At the core of science and medicine is the exchange of ideas, theories. Nothing is settled. This idea of evidence-based medicine, you're just crunching numbers. You can't look at all the factors that go into the human person. Most of my family and friends and patients don't like being pregnant for the first 6 to 10 weeks because of those hormones that make you feel pretty crummy, and you're vomiting and you're feeling just terrible. Well, come on. I mean, I just want the opportunity to be able to create a conversation or a space for that. And that's what Two Patients has done. And it's also to help question, why are we in medicine? And I know young people at across the schools that I've been to, they do give you a standing ovation when you talk about medicine as an act of mercy and going beyond the technology. You gotta always work within what we're given through technology and science, but you also have to incorporate the whole person that you're looking at, body, soul, and spirit. And at Tepeyac, we have many patients who disagree with our stance. We have many patients who agree with our stance on elective abortions. But when you provide good medicine, they come back. Stress is based on cortisol and DHEA and the self, who you grew up with and as, and it's much more demanding and deep than prescribing a antipsychotic for big pharma or prescribing some herbal remedy that is on the cutting edge that really doesn't have the data. And it's like the big alternative, we call it. It's both, and you got to be a little careful of both. But no, you're onto something there, Jess.
Well, honestly, I could talk to you forever about a whole range of topics, but we wanted to plug your book. When does it come out, and where can people go buy it?
Sure, it's coming out on all, I'm sure, on all platforms. It's Ignatius Press was the publisher,
Okay.
and it's coming out September 20th.
Oh, very exciting!
This coming month.
Yeah, this month.
And so if you have, if you have friends and family that think that they may be able to utilize this book or access Divine Mercy Care, please pick it up and use it. Use it well.
Dr. Bruchalski, thank you so much for coming back with us.
Oh, thank you, Jessica. I really appreciate it.
Love having you on. Thank you.